Failure, we usually see it as the enemy of success. Something to avoid at all costs, something to hide. But what if I told you failure isn't the opposite of progress? What if it's the very foundation of everything we've ever built? From the smartphone in your pocket to the cities you live in, to the very ideas that shape our modern world, failure didn't slow humanity down. It pushed us forward. This is the story of how failure built the world we live in today. History shows us something a little uncomfortable. Progress rarely comes from perfect plans. It almost always comes from mistakes, from wrong turns, and from broken ideas. Think about it. Every single major breakthrough that we celebrate today stands on top of a mountain of failed experiments, rejected ideas, and sometimes even public embarrassment. For the people behind these breakthroughs, failure wasn't a setback. It was feedback. It was data. And those who truly understood this simple truth are the ones who ended up changing the world. They saw each mistake not as an end, but as a stepping stone. They knew that the path to success is paved with the bricks of what went wrong. It's a counterintuitive idea, but it's a powerful one. True progress isn't about avoiding failure. It's about learning from it faster and more effectively than anyone else. Let's look at one of the most famous examples. Thomas Edison and the light bulb. We've all heard the story. He failed over 1,000 times before creating a commercially viable incandescent light bulb. 1,000 times. Can you imagine the frustration? The pressure? When a reporter asked him how it felt to fail so many times, his response was legendary. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work." That single sentence changes everything. He wasn't counting failures. He was gathering information. Each burnt-out filament, each flawed design eliminated a wrong path. Each mistake brought him one step closer to the solution. Without those 1,000 failures, the world of modern electricity, the world we live in, might have arrived decades later. His persistence wasn't just stubbornness. It was a systematic process of elimination fueled by failure. This pattern isn't just in science and invention. It's also forged in the fires of conflict. Many of history's greatest military strategies were born from crushing defeats, not glorious victories. Napoleon Bonaparte's disastrous invasion of Russia and his ultimate defeat at Waterloo taught European armies invaluable lessons about logistics, supply lines, and grand strategy. The staggering losses of World War I forced nations to completely rethink trench warfare and led to the development of combined arms tactics. The intelligence failures of World War II gave birth to modern espionage agencies and sophisticated code-breaking operations. In each case, defeat forced leaders to ask the most important question: what went wrong? Answering that question honestly and learning from the mistakes reshaped global strategy forever. Victory often teaches you that your plan worked, but defeat forces you to find a better one. Now let's turn to technology. So many of the inventions we use every day were actually born from broken ideas or complete accidents. The microwave oven, for instance, came from a failed radar experiment. An engineer named Percy Spencer was working on a magnetron tube for radar sets when he noticed a candy bar in his pocket had melted. He wasn't trying to invent a new way to cook food. He stumbled upon it because his primary experiment had an unexpected side effect. Penicillin, the wonder drug that has saved millions of lives, was discovered by Alexander Fleming when he returned from vacation to find a mold contaminating one of his lab dishes and killing the bacteria around it. A sloppy mistake became one of the greatest medical breakthroughs in history. Even the Internet, as we know it, evolved from early, often clunky and failed, military communication systems designed to withstand nuclear attacks. These weren't planned successes. They were unexpected lessons, proving that sometimes failure doesn't end an idea, it just reveals its true, hidden purpose. The business world is no different. Some of today's most dominant companies were born from the ashes of near-total collapse. In the late 1990s, Apple was on the verge of bankruptcy. It took the return of Steve Jobs and a series of risky, bold moves, many of which were built on lessons from past failures, to turn it into the global giant it is today. Netflix started as a DVD-by-mail rental service, a business model that was failing as streaming technology emerged. Instead of clinging to their old model, they embraced the change, pivoted, and became the king of streaming content. And then there's SpaceX. We see their successful rocket launches now, but the early days were filled with spectacular explosions on the launch pad. Each explosion was an expensive public failure. But for Elon Musk and his team, each one was also a priceless data point that taught them what not to do next. The companies that survive and thrive aren't the ones that avoid failure. They're the ones that learn faster than their competitors. So, when you look across history, science, warfare, and business, you start to see a pattern that no one really likes to talk about. It's a simple three-step cycle. First, failure creates knowledge. Raw, unfiltered, painful knowledge. Second, that knowledge, when applied, creates improvement. You fix what's broken, you refine your approach. And third, that constant cycle of improvement is what we call progress. The world didn't move forward because our ancestors were perfect. It didn't advance because everyone got it right on the first try. It moved forward because people were brave enough to try, resilient enough to fail, and determined enough to refuse to quit. Progress is the child of persistence. It's built on the wreckage of our best-laid plans. It's a testament to the human spirit's ability to get back up one more time than it gets knocked down. But here's the problem. Today, in our hyper-connected world, failure is feared more than ever. Social media feeds are carefully curated highlight reels. They show you the promotions, the vacations, the perfect families, the successes. Mistakes are hidden, vulnerability is seen as a liability. But history teaches us a fundamentally different lesson. Failure is not a weakness. The fear of failure is the weakness. Hiding our mistakes doesn't make us stronger. It just prevents us from learning. Progress, both for us as individuals and for society as a whole, belongs to those who are willing to fail publicly, learn privately, and come back stronger than before. It belongs to the innovators, the artists, the scientists, and the leaders who understand that the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. So, the next time you look around you, take a moment. Every building, every invention, every piece of art, and every great idea that exists in our world is there because someone, somewhere, failed and had the courage to try again. The world wasn't built by people who never failed. It was built by people who never stopped. Thank you for watching.